Welcome to the League of Women Voters of Chicago Zooming with the Alderman series of interviews. My name is Deborah Halpern. The League is a nonpartisan political organization which was founded 101 years ago right here in Chicago. The League encourages the informed and active participation of citizens in government. We work to increase understanding of major public policy issues and to influence public policy through education and advocacy. The Chicago League is one of hundreds of local leagues all across the country. We hope that you all listening will please join us. These interviews with the aldermen are part of our effort to educate people about those who represent us in setting the policies and ordinances that govern us here in Chicago. Today, our guest is Alderman Reboyras of the 30th Ward. So welcome, Alderman, and we really appreciate you taking time to be with us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Just a reminder, please know that this Zoom session is being recorded and will be available for viewing after today on the League website. We'll be sending you, Alderman Reboyras, and everyone who registered for this program, who is actually not a member of the League, a link to the video when it becomes available. Also, everyone should know that we have provided the alderman with a copy of the questions I'll be asking ahead of time. Before starting those questions, though, we want to show you a map of all 50 wards in the city of Chicago. And that map's coming up. And there it is. The cursor will be showing you your ward right now, the 30th ward. And now we're going to focus on the 30th ward. And that gives everybody an idea of what it looks like. So now let's get started. And so Alderman, based on that picture of your ward, can you describe where it is? What are the main boundaries and what neighborhoods are part of that?
Well, we're located on the northwest side. 30th Ward is bounded by Narragansett on the west, across the street from the Brickyard Mall, Fullerton on the south, Addison Street on the north. There are actually two other streets, Waveland and Bernice, just north of that, but small pieces of it. And we also extend on the east end to Central Park. And there's a section in the center missing, as you saw on the map. And you know, it's our communities include the Belmont-Cragen community. The majority of it is Belmont-Cragen. We have portions of Portage Park, Irving Park, West Avondale, and a small section of Dunning Park. And what is the makeup of our ward? We're mostly residential. We have commercial and also industrial area, small industrial area. The 30th Ward is, like I said, mostly residential. We have commercial districts on Fullerton Avenue, Mercy Avenue, Belmont Avenue, Pulaski. Let's see what else. And we have a small section industrial corridor. It's called the Knox Corridor. Way back when I first got in the system, we were asked to preserve some of the industrial areas, and the good thing is that we did because it's needed. We need to bring some of those industrial communities and jobs back to the ward, to the city of Chicago, I should say. And therefore we have parts of the Knox Industrial Corridor, and that's located by Kilbourne Park.
Okay, well, it is intriguing that you have so many different neighborhood groups within your single ward.
We do, yes, we do.
And they must all have their own feelings, interests, desires. So what are a few key issues facing the people of your ward? And are they broken up by neighborhood?
They are, but they're pretty similar. The key issues that we have right now affecting the ward is affordability of homes, housing, obviously, especially for seniors. We need mental health support. And the biggest issue that we have right now, obviously, is policing, schools, and our homelessness. And those are the key issues in our ward. But in most of these issues are citywide, unfortunately. Yeah.
It is something you share with all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Just a little bit more about you, if you don't mind. When did you first join the council, and why did you run for alderman this term?
That's an interesting question. Oh, this last term? Well, I first joined the council in 2003. Prior to joining the council, I was a city employee for 23 years at least, going on 24. Prior to that, I was teaching in the Board of Ed. I was subbing.
What did you teach?
I was certified for K through 12, and I subbed. I was substitute teacher for almost 2 years. Never got a permanent position. I had a 6-month position at Clemente High School. I loved it. I wanted to stay there, but it didn't happen. And that was in 1970. I want to say 78 when I left.
Oh, when you were an employee of the city, what were you doing?
1979. I became an employee with the city of Chicago as a motor truck driver.
Oh.
And what greeted me was the 1979 snow that we had. And if you were here, that was a big one.
And actually.
It was tough. It was tough. We're learning on the job. It was a brutal snow program that we dealt with. But after that, I didn't last long as a driver. I was instantly moved to other positions, and I worked for about 7 departments in the city of Chicago.
Wow.
Prior to becoming an alderman, I was a deputy commissioner with the Department of General Services. My job entailed, I was a facility manager for the city of Chicago. And I did anything from underground storage tanks to access control systems for the city of Chicago.
Wow.
And then a good friend of mine by the name of Michael Wojcik planted on my mind, says, I'm not running for alderman. You need to run for alderman. I had no idea that I was going to run for alderman.
Okay.
Until he brought up that conversation. And here I am, about almost 20 years later.
Well, you certainly knew all of the inner workings of the city to.
It made it easy for me because I knew who to call. When there was a problem, I knew what to call, who to call, and what to do.
That's good.
Yeah, well, that helped quite a bit.
Do you currently have any other employment?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a 7-day-a-week job.
Okay.
Some of my colleagues, the newly elected colleagues, I'm wondering if they're reconsidering this because the phone doesn't stop ringing. It's a 7-day-a-week job. You represent the people of your area, and that's what we do. It's our job.
But
there's no time for a job.
It obviously hasn't worn you out because you chose to run again in 2019.
I did. A lot of work was still needed to be done, and that's why I ran. But in 2019, I'm looking forward to the new school that we're building right now. And that's this doesn't happen very often. A school inside of a park.
Oh,
it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. And we were lucky enough to get the support from Friends of the Park to build our new Belmont Cragen School at Reese Park, and it's being built as we speak. And
what type of school will it be?
It's pre-kinder to 8th grade. It's well needed. The Belmont Cragen School was in our community, and it moved out several years ago because of lack of a location, and we outgrew the location. And that's what's going on the northwest side and southwest side of the city of Chicago. More kids are in our area.
That's great. I mean, it's great that there are more kids in your area. It's a funny thing. I don't know when the terminology changed, but I went to junior kindergarten as opposed to pre-kindergarten.
Probably the same system.
I'm sure it's exactly the same. Are you currently chair or vice chair of any of the city council committees?
Well, it's funny you ask. I was the mayor. Obviously, every 10 years we do our census.
Yes.
The city of Chicago never had a census committee, so the mayor asked me to chair that committee.
Oh,
After that, she created the Immigrant and Refugee Rights Committee, of which I'm the chair of that committee.
mm-hmm.
I'm also the vice chair of the Zoning and Landmarks Committee. I also sit on Aviation, Budget and Government, Committee on Rules. Every alderman sits on Committee on Rules. The Contracts and Oversight Equity Committee, Economic, Capital and Technology Development. I sit on the Finance Committee, Public Safety Committee, and Transportation and Public Way. I'm a little busy, as you.
Exactly. When do you have time to answer all those phone calls?
That's why you have staff. The staff handles 90%. I'd say about 75% of the calls, easy.
Got it. What, if any, changes would you like to see made in the actual operations of the council?
Well, we're kind of breaking apart at this point in time, and it has a lot to do with the redistricting. I'm hoping that our colleagues can think about this and give it some serious thought, because we're allowing the redistricting process to tear us apart. And there's a lot going on right now, and I don't, we're not talking to each other the way we should, and it has to do with we're losing respect, and that's sad, because a good council can make a good legislators will be great for the city of Chicago. At this point, it's not there. It's not there. I also like to see our caucuses should have a voice in what we need for our communities, and we should not be overridden by the mayor's call. That's one thing that we need to talk about as well. We need to be able to voice our opinion on what happens in our ward, and our colleagues, and the mayor should respect that as well.
And you don't feel that's not happening for you right now?
It's not happening for the majority of our colleagues right now, unfortunately. Yeah, there's too much going on. And it has to there's a lot of stress going on in the city of Chicago right now, as you know.
I've read something about that, yes. So switching gears for a moment, and you talked earlier about the problems with violence in your ward and in the whole city. So what are a few actions by the city to reduce gun violence that you think have actually been effective, or will be if they're planned to implement?
Well, I think we need to first let the superintendent do his job, let the police officers do their job. What's going on right now is the police officers' hands are tied. And that's very, very unfortunate. They have a very stressful job. We don't have enough personnel. We need to hire police. We're at least 1,000 short right now in the city of Chicago. We need to really get on board with hiring our personnel in the police department. You could choose community policing. You can choose the Board of Ed, schools, kids. What's important. They're all important, and they're all happening, unfortunately, at the same time. But I think the important part is that we need to let our police officers do their job. We need to make sure that we don't move police officers from their duties where they're assigned to. And that comes with hiring the appropriate amount of police officers that we need to make sure that we are doing our job and protecting our communities. And likewise, if there's any officers that are causing a problem, likewise offenders, well, guess what? We need to step it up. They should be held accountable as well. But there's a lot going on in the city of Chicago right now. Where do you balance it? It's very difficult at this point in time.
Are there any specific steps beyond the police, which I certainly hear what you're saying,
Mhm.
that would help reduce gun violence in your
Well,
mind?
yeah, yeah, the police officers cannot do the job on their own. It takes the
Mhm.
community as well. The community needs to get more involved. I'm a member of the Community Policing Advisory Panel, and I've been a member for now about 7 years. We basically do the guidelines for the police officers and how they should be structured to work in community policing. We're the ones
Mhm.
that do it, but we need our community to step it up a little bit and get involved. Most areas know who's causing the problems, but they're afraid to speak. I mean, they can be held, I mean, they need to step it up. The folks, the bad guys know where they live. They have to live somewhere, but the
Mhm.
community knows who they are. They know who they are. They need to help our police officers. Uh, uh, you know, but it's like anything else. Uh, we have to work together. And that's the bottom line. We need to work together to resolve this matter. Police officers in the city of Chicago take more guns out of the street than LA and New York put together. They're
Really?
working. Yes, ma'am. They're doing their job. They're taking out more guns every year out of the streets than LA and New York put together. That tells you that they're working,
Yes.
but we need more support for them.
Yes. I
Mhm.
hear that. It does sound much more grassroots than implementing new rules and regulations or whatever it might be.
Yeah, well, it takes us all working together. I mean,
Yeah.
we can talk the talk, but we have to walk it as well.
Okay. On another issue, league members have observed that the council and committees regularly pass agenda items that have been directly introduced at a meeting. And as a result, the actual contents, the text of what's being approved are not available for the public to see until days after the meeting. This results in the public, us, not having a chance to comment before a vote is taken. So would you support making items available to the public at least 2 business days before they're at the
Well,
meeting?
yes, I do. And just so you know, all these items that come up for hearing are put out there they have to do it 48 hours prior. It has to be put out in the public. And anyone who wishes to speak, they can. All they have to do is contact the city clerk and sign up through the city clerk's website to be able
Mhm.
to speak on a matter. More often than not, items are not voted on when they immediately come to city council.
Mhm.
Because once they're introduced in city council, they go to the appropriate committee for a hearing. At that point, I would strongly suggest that any member of any organization should write to each alderman and tell them what they'd like to see us vote on, what would interest them most. And more often than not, we do follow that. If it's our community and that's what you want, we should do that because you vote for us.
That's true.
Mhm.
So you're recommending that we follow up on that and
Immediately.
send in our information to
Yes,
you.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Immediately. You're helping us.
Okay.
You're helping us make a decision for the community.
Well, we're all for helping you. Let's go to elections for a moment, because currently when one candidate for mayor or alderman does not receive 50% plus one vote in the February election, then it goes to a 2-person runoff in April. And I'm curious your opinion on ranked choice voting to eliminate the runoff campaign.
Yeah, I was looking at this ranked choice voting on your sheet, and I'm not sure that I understand it yet. I'm not ready to make a decision on it, but I would
Mhm.
certainly consider more discussion on this matter. Because it's something that we'd have to probably go through Board of Elections to approve. But I
True.
mean,
That is how New York City just voted for mayor.
oh, okay. But
And
Did he win off immediately?
Mhm. He won based on ranked choice voting results.
Is that right?
Yes. So the concept is, can we eliminate the time and expense and the energy of a runoff campaign,
Runoff
you
campaign.
know, especially, with mayor as well. So it's a thought,
It is.
something to
Mhm.
look into.
Yeah, I would certainly look at this and consider this if it's going to save us money.
Well, thank you. All right. Now we're coming down to how we can help you. If the league wanted to support one specific area of your initiatives, what steps would you recommend the league take? How can we best support you?
Get involved and for example, I'm a chairman of a committee. If there's a matter that's interesting in the League of Women Voters, they want to speak up, they should immediately contact the alderman, and we'll have you in the hearing to support the agenda, and we'll support it. Yeah, and that's there's no other way to do it other than getting more involved and being at a hearing with us when it comes to a committee hearing.
Do you advise that if we have some specific issues that we go directly to the committee chair or vice chair, or should we go through our own alderpersons first?
I would say discuss it with the alderperson of your area first, and the alderman, your alderman should bring it to the committee chair.
Okay.
So everyone, you're on the same page.
That would be the proper route. And what do we do if we don't seem to get the answers and the feedback that we need?
That's a good question. I would say don't stop. As long as your alderman supports it, it's a win.
Okay. All right. Let me just push it a little bit further then. What if my alderman doesn't support it, but I do, and I want your committee to?
Then you would present it to the committee and let the committee chair bring it into a hearing where the committee members would vote on the matter, on the issue.
Okay.
And the alderman should respect that.
Okay, that's fair. Because we don't always agree 100% with what our alderperson says.
You're right.
All right. So several things you personally would like to get done, or at least started to happen during this current term that'll end in 2023. What's on your agenda?
Well, we have the school. We want to get that done. We also have a large area in the Avondale section of our ward, which is it's bounded by Milwaukee, Belmont, and Pulaski. There's a request for proposal we're putting together. We're including the community advocates in that area to do a development, a large development, which includes housing and businesses. We're talking several acres, large property, large land, which entails everyone to have input in this matter. And that's why we're doing a request for proposal to get investors involved and business owners, the businesses or the folks that own the property in the area. What we're envisioning is a great development that's going to bring some affordable components, and also new businesses for that area bounded by Milwaukee, Belmont, and Pulaski.
What's on that property right now?
A lot of empty properties. The majority of the properties in that area is owned by one person. Yeah, there's not a whole lot left. There's a Walgreens, Shell Station. There's a Foremost Liquor right on the corner of Milwaukee and Pulaski, and an Amico station just south thereof. So it's like a triangle.
Mhm.
There's a lot of empty lots in there that was created because he tore the buildings down. Makes it easier, less taxes he pays. He's not dumb, but it's a great site for a huge development. This came about 5 years ago. Several communicable vendors came in to talk to us about it, but nothing happened because the owners of the properties have to agree on a sale and an investment.
Mhm.
But I'm looking forward to getting that done.
Well, that's exciting. Is there any way that um, the league could be of help in helping you promote that?
Yes, Department of Planning and Development, the gentleman's name is James Harris. He's working with us.
Mhm.
And we could include you in having a say so on what we do and how we do that property, how we develop that property with the interest of bringing in more businesses and more apartments and more dwellings for the units that are needed for that area. Because it's very, very expensive to purchase a property in that area. But we need to make some affordability components
Yes.
to balance it all out.
That sounds very exciting. And I wish you the best. And we will note the name you gave us. There are others taking notes right now
Mhm.
so that we can help in some way. And so what I'd just like to do at this point is to remind everyone watching that a link to this program will be found on the Chicago League's website. Everyone who registered for today's program who is not a league member will receive an email with the link. All of our league members will automatically receive that, along with an invitation to join the League of Women Voters in Chicago, as well as to sign up for further notice of future programs. And Alderman, we hope you will as well.
Thank you.
We hope that you will all join us for future Zooming with the Alderman programs, which you can find on our website. And Alderman Reboyras, thank you. Thank you so very much for being with us today. This was truly an interesting opportunity to talk with you today. And I wish you a good and very healthy 2022.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Ms. Halpern. Thank you so much.
Thank you.